Hey guys, this is Mrs. Bolin with your Unit 10 and 11 review for your unit test. So we're going to go through the answers really quickly. So for the first one, we are going to multiply these out. It says multiply, but also we know that when the parentheses are touching like that, it means multiplication. So I'm going to start by using the box method. So we have 5t plus 1, and then we have t minus 2. So I have 5t squared, I have 1t, got negative 10t, and I have negative 2 if we multiply and fill in the boxes. Okay, so I have 5t squared. If I start with the highest exponent, I'm going to put the t's together. I've got 10 negatives and 1 positive. So 1 positive will cancel out one of the negatives. So I still have 9 negatives left. And then I have the negative 2 at the end. Okay, question number 2. Evaluate the function for the given value of x when x is equal to 3. I'm going to plug that in. So I have y equals negative 3, 2 to the third power. So I have to do the exponent first. Remember, PEMDAS, please excuse me, dear Aunt Sally, starts with the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, everything's done. Okay, it doesn't mean we take care of these parentheses. We can't do that. That's multiplication. So we have to do the exponent next. So 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 is 4 times another 2 is 8. Do not write 6. That's 8. Okay, so we have y equals negative 3 times 8. And then negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. I kind of ran out of room there, else I'd write it right underneath. Okay, so now we're going to simplify. Going way back, we've got 2 times 2, which is 4. We've got 3 x's and 2 x's, which make 5 x's all together. Okay, question number 4. We are factoring. So again, I'm going to start by writing my parentheses. And I'm going to put an x in each one. The positive tells me the signs have to be the same. It's either plus plus or minus minus. But since it has to add up to make a negative 13, I know it's going to be a minus minus. So I have 40 over here. And so I'm going to write all the things that make 40. 1 can go in, 2 can go in, 3 cannot, 4 can go in, and 5 can go in. 6 can't, 7 can't, 8 can, but it's already on the list, so we stop. So now I have to say, well, everything's negative, so I'm going to put minuses on everything. Boop, boop, boop. So then I need to say, what makes negative 13? Well, it would be the 5 and the 8. Okay, next problem, problem number 1. We're going to go through your practice problems. So we're going to do a whole bunch of multiplying, and then we're going to do a whole bunch of dividing. Okay, so if we're going to multiply this, I'm going to use the box method just because it seemed like most of my students like that way the best. So I'm going to put a and minus 3. Sorry, it's a little messy there. A times a is a squared. A times 5 is 5a. A times negative 3 is negative 3a. And 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. So I'm just going to put those in standard form. So I'm going to start with the highest exponent. So I'm going to write that a squared. I am going to combine my like terms. So that 5 and then take away 3 of them. And so I have 2 a's left and then minus 15. And that is my final answer. Question number 2. We're going to multiply this again. So I have 2c minus 1 and 3c plus 4. So I have 6c squared. I have 8c. I have negative 3c, and I have negative 4. So I have 6c squared. I'm going to put together my like terms. 8 take away 3 would be 5. And then I have the minus 4 at the end. Okay, question number 3. Remember, when something has a squared right there, it means that I have y plus 7 times y plus 7. Write it out twice because you cannot just square the y and square the 7. Remember our properties of exponents, when they are being multiplied, I could do that. But if there is a plus right there, you have to write out both binomials, okay? Then we're going to treat it just like our other problems where I have y plus 7 and y plus 7. So I'm going to go y times y is y squared, y times 7 is 7y, y times 7 is 7y, and 7 times 7 is 49. So I have y squared plus 14y plus 49. Okay, question number 4. We're going to do the same thing for this one. Look, this one could have been written as a squared because there's 2 of them that are exactly the same. So we're going to multiply that out. We have x minus 8 and x minus 8. I've got x squared minus 8x minus 8x and plus 64. So if we write that with our highest exponent first, we got x squared. Negative 8 and negative 8 make negative 16. And then the 64 at the end. Okay, question number 5. This is a lot easier multiply, right? Because there aren't 2 things being multiplied by 2 things. It's 1 being distributed to 3 different things. So I'm going to go 5 times x squared, 5 times x, and 5 times 1. Okay, then I'm going to do 4x times x squared, 4x times negative 3. So I have 4x to the third, and 4x times 3 would be 12x. Okay, now we're done multiplying, so we're going to work the problems backwards. For all of the next problems, they're giving us the answer, and we have to figure out what the multiplication problem was. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Number 7, factor out the greatest common monomial, or your homework, you might have seen it say GCF, the greatest common factor. We are just pulling out one thing that's in common in all of them, okay? So we're gonna look for these 3 things, 3, 13, and 10. Can 3 go into either of those numbers? No, so they don't have that in common. All they have in common is the letter P. So I'm going to pull that out in front and I'm going to write what's left. If I had 3 of them and I pulled out 1, I would have 2 left. The 13 stays the same. If I had 2 and I pulled out 1, I would have 1 left. The 10 stays the same. If I had 1 P and I pulled it out, there wouldn't be any other P's right here. Okay, so this is the final answer for that one. Okay, question number 8. We're going to factor using the greatest common factor. And so I always start by looking at the littlest number. Can 5 go into 10 and 25? If yes, then that's what I'm pulling out. And then I see there's 3 x's, 2 x's, and 1 x. What do they have in common? Would be 1 x. So I'm going to put what's left. 10 divided by 5 is 2. I had 3 x's and I divided by 1. So one of them canceled. That means I have 2 left. 25 divided by 5 is 5. I had 2 x's. I took one of them out, so I have 1 left. And then at the end here, 5x divided by 5x would equal 1. So we leave that 1 there. Anytime the whole thing cancels out, we still have to have a term right there, because if I multiply it out, I still need to get that third term. But when everything cancels, we put a 1. Because if you think about it, like anything divided by itself just equals 1, like 5 over 5, 4 over 4. Okay, next problem. Oops. We're going to factor this trinomial. And since it doesn't say greatest common factor, and you look, they don't have anything in common, we're actually going to factor it like doing FOIL in reverse. We're going to be putting the 2 parentheses. We put an X in each one, and we need to figure out what those factors are. So remember, anytime that last number is positive, I had to multiply to get a positive, so the signs had to be the same. So it's either plus plus or minus minus. If I'm going to add up to make negative 12, then I know it's going to be minus minus, because no pluses are going to add up to make a negative 12. Then I'm going to list everything that makes 36. 1 can go in, 2 can go in, 3 can go in, 4 can go in, 5 cannot, but 6 can. And then it's already up there, so then I stop. Okay, so now I say, well, everything gets that minus. Boop, 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 boop. And then I need to see what makes 12. Well, it's negative 6 and negative 6. You could end there if you want to be extra fancy and write it most efficiently. You could say, well, this is just x minus 6 squared, because anything times itself can be written as that number squared. Like if you had 3 times 3, you could write it as 3 squared. Okay, question 10. We're going to go ahead and do this problem with our parentheses, because nothing goes into all three of those. It doesn't say GCF or greatest common factor or monomial. And then again, this is a plus right here, which means the signs have to be the same. But because it has to add to negative 11, I know they both have to be minuses. So I'm going to put 24. And I know 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. 5 does not go in. 6 does. It's already on the chart. So that's how we know to stop. Everything is negative. So that's the one that makes negative 11. So I put the 3 and the 8 in my answer. Okay, last two problems. We're almost there. So this one, everything's positive, super duper easy, x plus, I've got the 16. I know 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. And I need to make 10, so I'm gonna say, well, that's 2 and 8. So 2 plus 8, and those are my factors. Okay, question number 12. This one's a little bit tricky. This one has us, we have to do two different things. It doesn't tell you, but if I look, I can see, hey, those both have a 5 in it. So I can pull the 5 out, and then I have x squared minus 4. Well, this part I can still keep factoring. For those of you that remember the difference of squares, we know it's going to be an x plus and an x minus, whatever the square root of 4 is, which you guys know is 2. But you can also think about it as a trinomial with a 0 term in the middle. Okay, there's no x's, they canceled out. So I need to see what is left for that problem. So I'm going to put my negative 4 up here, and I'm going to say 1 times 4 or 2 times 2. What is going to multiply to make a negative, but add up to make 0. Okay, and it's going to be a positive 2 and a negative 2. So that 5 just stays out in front. This I have an x, one with a plus, one with a minus, and then we put a 2 on each of those. So this technically is your final answer. That was a super tricky problem because it didn't say anything in the directions about needing to do both. You're supposed to know that. So that's the tricky part. Figuring out that there's a 5 in both of those, and then looking at this and realizing that you can still factor it some more after you pull out the 5. That is it for your notes for your Unit 10 and 11 review. Good luck on your test.